people why I'm here first. Since the release of this domestic debt audit report by the GAC, there has been why they have made the press and the entire media to believe that the former government under President Weah they didn't have interest in auditing, or they didn't have interest in accountability of the state funds. On the basis of that, there have been wild claims, wild narratives and accusations against the government that people who work in President Weah government were just looking or accumulating debt or forced debt. For example, they look for claimants and tell people, come and say you owe in the government and we'll pay you. The report made the public to believe that we were, those who were managing the debt, or as a government, were interested in using the domestic debt to siphon state resources. On the basis of that, the Auditor General has rejected almost 80 to 90% of all what was claimed as debt. That was troubling. And so I thought to put us on lenses to go beyond this report. The first thing I saw in that report was, if you go to the GSC website for the 2024 report, there is a template under that report. There are 2 Excel file sheets. And so I decided to see the to authenticate, not get a report that they published, but I wanted the raw data to see whether my analysis of those data will come or will accumulate into what they publish. And the first thing I saw on the rejected claims was that I saw 3 different claims that were misclassified. For example, there was a claim of $85 million that they placed on that list and covers roads that were done by international partners. For example, the road from ERWA Junction to Kukola Factory, from Kukola Factory to the Guinea border, I saw that road named in the domestic debt list. So that drew my attention that no, this document needs to further check. Then when I saw those things, it drew my attention. I also saw 3 different claims that were considered valid. About 40-some million that were considered valid, but they were under the invalid section. So almost around 120, 30-some million dollars claims under that was misclassified. So then I said this was a huge mistake. So I need to go deeper. It is from that point I recollected, and I know we had several meetings that we conducted a domestic debt audit before. So let me go and check and be able to see which is which. I'm pleased to report to the public that there is 2 domestic debt audit reports. One, like you read, one covers the period 1980 to 2021.
Which has 55 pages.
Yes, under the signature or the leadership of the same Auditor General. Then I saw also another domestic debt audit report that covers similarly the same period from 1980 to 2024. So from 1980 to 2021 is about, to 2024 should be around 44 years. From 1980 to 2021 should be around 41 years. So it's a 3 years difference. So then I said, look, how can we have these 2 reports? What is the motivation behind having 2 different reports that covers the same period? So those that were insulting me the other day when I spoke, I want you to also call on the radio and apologize and confirm that yes, there are 2 different reports. And those reports cover the same period almost. The only difference is 3 years from 2022 to 2024. On the basis of that, then I decided to look in the 2 reports. Firstly, I'd like the public to know that most audits that are commissioned, they are paid for. And so we paid, or we provided funding, let me not say pay, we provided funding to the General Auditing Agency, Auditing Commission, to audit 1980 to 2021. This government also provided funding to audit 1980 to 2024. I believe in the paradigm of reasoning is double dipping. Because you receive funding to audit from 1980 to 2021, and you publish that report.
Yeah.
Should there be any additional audit? It should be an addendum to what you did. Probably it should have given for the 3 years, 2022 to 2024. Otherwise, you have got opted to update or to discard your work and say you are not satisfied with the integrity of the data you got. You're going to redo. Such is not mentioned in the second report. So my first claim is that until the GSC clarifies to the Liberian people why did they do the two reports without mention, without the two reports speaking to each other, they need to account for the funding that was provided to them on the two reports, because the two reports covers the same period of time.
But you've admitted that there's just a slightly there are 3 years difference in the report.
Just 3 years. So meaning they already did almost for the 1 year's audit, and for the 1 year's audit were published.
Okay.
So they get needed to do 3 years
From
audit.
2021 to 2024, just do an addendum.
Just do an addendum to the report. In that case, yes, it was justified. Okay. But to redo that audit without any justification of why you are redoing the audit, or whether you are redoing the audit, whether you are not satisfied with the integrity of your own report, I don't know. You should have mentioned that. Why am I saying that? Go to the second report. 2024 report. When you go to that report, from the introduction and the scope, there is nothing mentioned about the previous audit. Just go to the introduction.
Okay.
I want you to read that introduction.
This one is the
2024, the one that ended 2024.
Yeah.
There is, if it was complementing.
Background, should I go to the background?
Background. Can't read any part of the background. It is not telling you that this report is.
So let me read the background. His background is on page 7. The compliance audit of the government of Liberia domestic debts through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning was commissioned by the Auditor General of the Republic of Liberia under his statutory authority as provided for under Section 2.1.3 of the GAC Act of 2024. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Finance in 2008, commissioned a study to verify the authenticity of claims submitted and reach a conclusive recommendation as to whether to accept or reject them. KPMG Ghana was contracted to conduct a comprehensive audit on all vendor claims and other domestic debts that were accumulated during the period January 1982 and October 2003, and arrears incurred on these debts from October 2003 to January 2006. The firm, at the end of its exercise, classified the claims it vetted as either valid, invalid, or contestable. Some of the valid claims were settled during that period. However, currently, there is no comprehensive database to indicate whether or not a claim has been settled. As at August 27, 2020, the Ministry of Finance through
So stop there. You see that background? The background is saying there was an audit done after the war. When we had a peace accord and during the Madam Sadi regime, claims were coming. Our partners and the IMF, the World Bank, they said, look, you cannot continue to be paying debts unless you validate those debts. So because of our fragile nature, we brought in a Ghanaian firm to do the audit. KPMG. They did that audit, and that's what they reference. Beyond that, the General Auditing Commission didn't mention in that to say However, we also conducted another audit in 2020. In
2021. Oh,
yes.
Which came by in 2022.
Yes. There is no mention about that audit. Go to the scope. The scope might be on page 9. If you look at the scope of that report.
Okay. I want to end this paragraph.
Okay, end that paragraph.
Because I've seen something about some 1.241 million. As at August 27, 2020, the Ministry of Finance, through the Debt Management Unit, has received vendor claims and arrears in the amount of $124.14 million US and 11.49 million Liberian dollars. These recorded claims, as well as those outstanding in the KPMG audit report, needed to be further validated and negotiated in order to devise a realistic settlement. So if you read down from the background, like you said, there is no mention.
There is no mention that there was a previous audit under the signature of the same Auditor General.
Okay.
So you see my point?
Yeah.
My point is that it was not wrong to do maybe addendum to your audit or go back and revalidate the audit, but that background should have set the stage for the Liberian people to know that the way you informed them that KGP did an audit and this is what came up, but you also did your own audit. What was the findings of those audits? So it is on the basis of that I say, look, this audit, the 2024 report, is problematic. And we'll go into the details of that. If he mentioned, he brought any correlation or relationship between this audit and the 2021 report or 2021 audit, that will serve as a basis to see whether the claims that were validated or rejected in the 2024 or 2021 report, whether they found their way within the 2024 report or whether they were part of the validation process or whether there were new claims that were being validated. Those kind of narratives, those kind of connections could have been very, very important for this audit. On the basis of that, unlike some of those things were not done, this last report is questionable.
Let me read the last paragraph under the background, then we'll go to the scope of the audit. For the government to reach a conclusion on the validity of claims, domestic debts and arrears, the government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, in collaboration with the African Development Bank, has asked the General Auditing Commission to verify the authenticity of claims submitted between 1980 and 2024 and provide recommendation on the validity of each individual claim, domestic debt and arrear, which would enable the proper development of a comprehensive database, Commonwealth Meridian System of Domestic Debt Management System at the DMU, that's the Debt Management Unit.
So still is no mention. And Danisha, for the sake of the conversation, I know the reason why Daniel Yakuna could not come, because he has been trying to provide irrelevant materials to the debate on Facebook, and the opportunity is now set. He didn't come. And part of the reason, and I will hold by some things.
You want to read in the oracle why he didn't come?
Yeah. He cannot interpret the oracle. I wanted to let you know that the oracle is here. So if you look through that, I will get point out there are some elementary things that had they come to challenge me, I would have brought them about. I want you to go read the background of the 2021 report.
Okay.
When you read the background, maybe the only difference between the two backgrounds is the numbers, the year.
Okay.
It's exactly the same thing.
All right, let me go there. Folks, just bear with me. Background. Great, I'm there. Background is on page 7.
Yeah.
Let's go to background. The compliance audit of the government of Liberia domestic debts through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning was commissioned by the Auditor General of the Republic of Liberia under his statutory authority as provided for under section 2.1.3 of the GSC Act of 2024. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Finance in 2008, commissioned a study to verify the authenticity of claims.
What did you read first?
It's the same verify.
It is the same thing. So it's got like
the same KPMG.
It's got the same KPMG. So, because they didn't come, I will leave some of the elementary issues. But I can say,
maybe for the benefit of the audience, let me just read through it because I'm fairly the same thing I read.
It's the same thing. If you go through the audit report,
it says verify the authenticity of claims submitted and reach a conclusive recommendation as to whether to accept or reject them. KPMG Ghana was contracted to conduct a comprehensive audit on all vendor claims and other domestic debts that were accumulated during the period January 1982 and October 2003 and arrears incurred on these debts from October 2003 to January 2006. The firm at the end of its exercise classified the claims it vetted as either valid, invalid, or contestable. Some of the valid claims were settled during that period. However, currently there is no comprehensive database to indicate whether or not a claim has been settled.
So time is going. I just wanted to set the basis on that, right? I just wanted to set the basis on that to tell you that there is no narrative difference between the first report and the second report. The only difference is the figures that they place in there. Another difference is that they didn't reference each other, or the last one, they didn't reference the first one. So on the basis of that, it drew serious concern that we have to investigate the 2024 report.
Okay.
Now, go to page 14 of that report.
The 2021
report, page 14.
2021, page 14. This is the Prime Morning Drive on Prime FM. I am there. Page 14. Yes, Rick's recommendations. That's what you're talking about.
There's a matrix on page 14.
I don't know. I think it's on page 13. Where you have a summary of claims received and claims verified.
Right. Yeah. Go to that template.
Yeah, it's on page 13. I'm there, page 13.
You are there.
Yeah.
Tell the librarian people how many claims the Auditor General claims that he received. If you go to that report.
So I get total claims for verification.
So the Auditor General claim from 1980 to 2021. The reason I'm bringing this, you go back to the 2024 report.
Okay.
The Auditor General claimed that he received a total claim of $1.4 billion.
Okay.
Right? 1.2 billion dollars. If you go under there, it's around 1,148,000,000. The numbers are
I see it there.
So it's around 1.2 billion dollars, right?
Yes.
In US dollars, Liberian dollars 226 million and so forth.
216. Is that the number? The total, the one with the 95%, right?
95%.
Yeah, under total. When you go to after you come down from KPMG validated claims, is that
no? There's a matrix there. No, that just shows that matrix shows the total claims, the total validated. It's let me find it here. But that's what I'm reading. So what I'm trying to say is the Auditor General said he got about 1.2 billion worth of debts. He validated. According to his own record, in the 2021 to 2024, 1980 to 2021, according to the Auditor General, he validated 775 million.
Yes.
You see that, right?
Yes, I see it.
Then in Liberian dollars, it's around 10 million.
Yes.
I converted it at a rate of 185, so to make the numbering easier. I realized that the Auditor General validated about 775 million worth of debt.
Yes.
Meaning that he accepted, he validated that these debts are valid and genuine and the government and Liberia can pay.
Yeah.
Now he rejected around, if you go to the rejected side, 373 million.
Yes, 039,926.48.
Then LD is 216.
Yes.
Apo altogether is around, at a rate of 185, is around 374 million.
Okay.
So what the Auditor General says to us in his first report is that he validated about 775 million domestic
debt.
So meaning that those who came forward and said the government owe us, out of the 1.2 billion, he accepted and made the people to hope that their debts and claims were validated.
Correct.
Which is around 775 million according to his own report. That is 4 on page 14.
13, page 13.
Page 13 of that report.
Yes.
It's 4 on page 13 of that report. So now, if he validated that amount of debt in 2021, go to the 2024 report.
Okay.
Almost on the same page, it will be on page 14.
Yes, 2024 rather, page, okay. There is irregularities.
The same metric is on either page 13 or page 14.
Let me see, page.
Number of claims.
No, it's the same page 13.
Page 13, right?
Yes, irregularities associated with invalid and rejected claims. Summary of claims received and claims verified.
Go to the claim. How much claims he said he received?
He received 770 million 800.
Yeah, that's 770.8 million.
Yes.
So you see the problem. In 2021, in your first claim, you say you received 1.2 billion. Now you come to do, you did 41 years, you got, the 41 years was 1.2 billion, around that. You do it for the 4 years, you say it's around 770 million. There is no explanation in any part of the report that shows why that number came down. Is it because I can't even explain for that, because
pass away,
or people they didn't come for their claim, or when you read those. So I told you the reason why the scope and introduction background of the 2024 was very important to set the stage was that had the Auditor General told us we cancel all the claims that we received in the first audit, we are doing new audit.
Okay.
To see whether those who came they were real.
Okay.
But suppose they didn't come because they know you have validated their claims. 775 million claims. Now, you're doing for the 4 years, you say only 770 million that were validated. In fact, the one that came is lesser than the one that were validated first. You understand the logic?
I get you.
Go to the validated table. How much did he validate it? $92 million.
Validated, this is the 2024.
Yeah.
92,118,014.65 US.
So we can take that for accounting purpose, we say 92 million now, right?
92 million, yeah.
So if you put the librarian as component there,
which is 259,433,508.30. If you put it, if you added it at your conversion rate,
we'll be somewhere around $93 million.
Okay.
But here's the point. What happened to the $775 million debt that you validated in 2021 as compared to the $92 million now you are claiming you're validating? How many debt could go to the volume of debt that he claimed he rejected in the second report?
In the second report, which is 2024, the volume, they say claims received for verification, claims invalidated and rejected. He rejected 88.05%, which amounted to 678,755,900.
million.
Yeah,
when you put the librarian hours, which is around 4 billion, when you convert it and put it together, it's somewhere around 770. So it's around 704 million. So meaning he accepted 775 in 2021. Now he comes by and rejected 704 in 2024. I don't understand the logic. I don't. So up to today, the updated or the second domestic debt report has trouble. The troubling aspect is that those whose debts were validated in the 2021 report, what happens to their money? Because there's no mention that we cancel those debts. Okay. There's no mention that, okay, these are new claims that were validated in addition to. So if there are new claims in addition to the first one you did, then fine. You needed to just state that. But to just say you rejected 704 million worth of debt is automatic erasure of the first work that you did. That is why I say, if care is not taken, this will lead to a national crisis. Because those who claims were validated in the first report, their claims have been automatically erased in the second report. What the message is sending to us also is that Liberia is almost domestic debt free. It means that only $93 million Liberia owes in domestic debt. This is trouble.
What would be the reason for the inconsistencies as you've outlined in the report?
I will look at it from two perspectives. One, the GSC may have been influenced politically to be able, the government is always looking for morale. They're always looking for projects. They want to take the glory of everything that we did. The intent is to erase what we did and project themselves as they are the Mr. Clean. So they may have influenced him to be able to come over, to be able to do this report so that it appears to the Liberian people that, look, we told you Georgia was not serious to fight corruption. What they were doing was looking for people to give them money and they go take some of the money from them. So we reject all the debt. In fact, the public believe that all those debts were even accumulated by the CDC government. On the basis of that, the Auditor General rejected all. I believe that on the basis of the numbers and the inconsistency in the number, the Auditor General was politically influenced.
And do you stand by your October 20 statement that he should resign?
Oh, obviously. Because here's the point. If you put the country in this kind of danger, in this kind of predicament, the best thing to do is to give way. Because to whom, like the songwriter says, shall we go? Which of these reports will the nation rally behind and say, yes, you've built excitement today that Liberia is almost domestic debt free. But yet there is a 700 million debt that you validated. You this higher being different Auditor General or a different team. You are saying, look, what the Auditor did for the CDC government did, it was wrong, so we're trying to redo it. But you are the same Auditor General who did the previous audit. And you are doing the second audit with no mention that you ever did. That's one of the things that moved me to do a deeper analysis of this. Why would the Auditor General not mention to the United Party government that, look, you know what, you want me to do a domestic debt audit, but I'd like to inform you professionally that we have already done an audit before. And here is the audit report. If you say we should do another audit, we got to addendum to this report. Or if you are not satisfied with the audit, let the president issue an executive order and say, the cancel. That's the only thing that will save the Auditor General and say, look, they don't trust the validity. If we have also brought something on his integrity because he's conducted that audit, for the president to come and cancel that audit, then it going to place doubt cloud on his integrity. So the best thing we have done was to tell the people we already have an audit. Let's use the audit report. I can do an addendum to this report. But to do another report to make it appear like there wasn't anything like that done before, it beats my imagination.
And I have to admit that, I would not have known that there were two audit reports on the same domestic debt had you not said, go on this website and do the and that we read there is no mention of but I was speaking to an auditor under the Chatham House rule that there is why not agreeing but he says there is a likelihood that there could have been some material differences, but the proportion at which the 2024 report placed the 2021, there are some.
No, obviously there have been some material difference because between 2021 or between 2022 to 2024, obviously there may have been some debt incurred. So you have added that, yes. But if you look at the volume, what raises concern is the volume of claims that were accepted earlier and the volume that were rejected at the latter is what drawing the concern, because you see one of the things they are doing is the government is kept believing in moral making. They have sent message to the international community that Liberia is almost domestic debt free, because you're saying you cancel 88% of the domestic debts. So what that means is that you are saying to the world that people who served at the Ministry of Finance before you, or people who served the Ministry of Finance, their whole intention was to dupe the government from domestic debt. And the way they were doing it was to call their friends and say, come and say you owing the government, and we'll put it on the books to pay you. I am not, let me get this clear, I am not defending any irregularities or on a debt that may have been incurred inappropriately or justifiably. I am not defending any claimants. What I'm saying is the Auditor General have brought a conflicting data to the public. One of the things you also need to notice is if you look at some of the figures that they owed some of the claims or the claimants, you will realize that some are 30,000, 40,000. The question we should be asking is, did those people 100% pre-finance the work that they claim they did for the government and asking for payment? Because from my elementary experience working in managing funds and resources, when the government signs a contract with a particular vendor, the government asks the vendor to pre-finance at a certain level. When the vendor pre-finances, the government can pay certain portion, and then so fast forward, they will continue on that trench basis until the contract ends. When that contract ends, the balance payment sometimes becomes an issue. So if that balance payment is not paid, it goes to domestic debt. If you check in the Auditor General report, there is no mention as to whether some of those claimants were previously paid, portion of their claims were paid. It is not from ERWA Junction to Cocoa Factory, the contractor did that well without government giving them some money. For example, under that claims there is a road there from Driver Market to Ma Barkley. You know that Johnson which is about I think 11 kilometers or 11.5 or 12 kilometers, is only that domestic debt as a claim that was not paid.
In 2024.
In 2024, in the database. Then the question is, are you saying the contractors from Driver Market to Ma Barkley started that project and pre-financing 100% the government, they didn't pay them? I still doubt that. I don't have clear evidence on that, but I'm just doubtful of that kind of narrative. So what that brings to my attention is the Auditor General needs to also tell the public, those who are making claims, whether they previously received some money from the government, or did they pre-finance the contract 100% and came to make claim to the government. If they were paid, disbursement took place, and they are claiming the balance payment, then the Auditor General doesn't have a case. So I think we need to redo the audit.
Should we bring an international group to redo the audit, given the variances, the inconsistencies?
Well, it will cost the government more, but if the auditor current team will be truthful and say, well, we erred somewhere, I think they can still do it. They just need to admit to the fact that it was a technical error, professionally the error, and I think they can redo that. And some of the comments we are making. One, tell the Liberian people, those who are making claims, whether they receive part payment of their monies or not. And this is very, very important.
Why do you think the GSC has not come out? I mean, despite all of the efforts that I have made and maybe others have made, they've not come up with a statement, and to clear the air on the variances in the report. Why do you think they've not come out?
Well, I did a survey and I'm trying to increase my pace of truth telling in this country. And I realized 3 groups of people. One group of people are seditionists who believe in George Weah.
Okay.
But they are angry because their party lost elections.
Okay.
There are another group of people who, no matter what you do, they get hate George Weah. So whether he does good or not, they hate that group. One example of that person is the current public works minister, Roland Guinness. He hates George Weah so much so to the extent.
What does he allegedly hate Weah?
Okay, let me tell you why. When George Weah was doing the role from ERWA to RIA, he was on the radio claiming that that role was a death trap. In fact, the role was not professionally done. He said a lot of things. Because it was a George Weah thinking that that road should be paved. Now he's the public works minister. That road became a good road now. He cannot admit, he has never admitted that it was good to do that road. So he's fall in that category.
I want to fact check you on this one because I will reach out to Roland Guinness. When and where did he say?
Go to OKFM, follow up. He usually used to call and say the road is a death trap, the road is not being done properly, blah, 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 blah. The road is substandard, all those kind of things. The same way we're doing the road, and the same way he's doing it now. He undermines the road from both sides. So I'm just saying, there are a category of people, whether George Weah does good or not, they get hate him. And I will come to the point. There are another group of people who says, you know what? All these things that are going on in this country, we realize that we don't know where to go. People lie to us on so many things, but how can we find the truth? So those people are religiously following me because I'm giving them the truth. And the truth is not just said by me, it is referenced by the reports the government herself is doing. And so coming to your question, the reason they are not responding is they think that I'm exposing what the ordinary people would not have heard, would not have seen, had it not been Benedick Kolubah saying it. And it is the truth. So they will not. I can challenge them, they will not. I've always told you, bring them with me and sleeping, I will come with them. They will not, because I'm not lying. I'm not writing my own report. I didn't participate in the report to say, okay, I inserted this so that I can come and criticize it. No, they wrote the report and published the report. I'm telling the Liberian people what is hidden in the report. I'm a follower of Martin Luther. I'm a Lutheran. Martin Luther didn't write the Bible. When he felt that people were misinterpreting the Bible, he just took the scripture. He said, salvation is not by the work we do. It's just by the grace of God. Through your faith. And rely on the word of God. Because he exposed that, some people felt that he was doing the wrong thing. They castigated him. Today, those two religious group of people have realized that what Martin Luther said was true. That's why we signed what we call the Reformation. We celebrated together, believing and agreeing with Martin Luther that what he was saying is true. There is coming a day in this country that whoever, like the CSA that gave a report without integrity, they have boys insulting me on Facebook, like the GAC that is almost dumping the country into a national crisis. There is coming a day that they always sit together and say, yes, Benedick Kolubah was right. Because I'm not speaking from what I think I know. I'm speaking for what they wrote. So they cannot come. And all them coming to defend, to justify with me will be fired by the president because they are deceiving the president. And I think what the president needs to do is now to begin to pay me for the job I'm doing for him. Oh yes, because I'm doing a great job. If he doesn't say, I'm doing a great job for him.
I mean, come to think about it, and you know, I could be wrong. There are people in the government who, you know, did auditing, who knows, who can read the math. So why are they not coming up?
So you ask them.
Your claims.
Because my claims are not contestable. They are not. I got one claim there I've given you the implication of what the Auditor General has done. You get scared for our country.
Did the Auditor General cause financial loss to the state with the two audits that we've done?
First thing, there was a double dipping. We received funding for the two things. As to whether financial loss, no. What? Let me tell you one of the implications, one of the things that you don't see. So, Liberia has currently domestic debt to GDP ratio. So, why they rush for all of these things? There are two things The current domestic debt to GDP ratio, according to the Central Bank 2024 report, is around 54.
You read a lot of reports.
Yeah. It's around 54%. The current IMF report, our estimated rate, I think is around 56 or 57%. In the ECF program with the World Bank, the first objective is debt sustainability, and that objective intent is to reduce debt to GDP ratio to 35% or below 35%. It is in the ECF report, ECF program,
External Credit
Facility. One of the first objectives. If you check the domestic debt, the debt to GDP ratio, domestic debt is around 22%, 22 point something percent. If you erase domestic debt completely, it means that you have been able to reduce debt to GDP ratio by 22%. So meaning that automatically canceling all the debts make you to meet the IMF targets or your objective that you set in the IMF program to reduce debt to GDP ratio to 35%. So cancel all the debts, then we meet the GDP requirement with the IMF. But let me tell you one of the hidden things that we don't know. As it is, Liberia can